Diana, the last Amazon, must defeat the Tetracide, or humanity is doomed. Welcome to the Comicstorian Complete Story Series, where we take trade paperbacks and single issues and we break them down into digestible bites to help you understand. Then we read them dramatically back to you. All alterations to the panels, text, and images to prevent copyright problems, and all art is owned by its respective companies. If you enjoy these stories, be sure to support the industry and go check them out at your local comic shop. Today, Absolute Wonder Woman concludes its first arc, The Last Amazon, as we see Diana face up against the foe that she split in half last time. It's time for her to finish the job or die trying. This is Absolute Wonder Woman issue number 5 by Kelly Thompson. I hope you enjoy. Diana stands on the beach, glaring up at the Tetracide as its body slides apart, cleaved in two by her mighty greatsword. But Diana knows the truth. While the monster is severely wounded, it is not yet dead. Her sword tumbles through the air, shrinking as she catches it. Suddenly, there is a sound of approaching fighter jets. Diana looks up as the US military opens fire on the Tetracide with missiles. The powerful weapons fly through the air, but the Tetracide lets out a bellowing roar and swats away the three missiles. Diana watches in horror as the missiles turn back towards the city. "Hera, no!" she whispers. She leaps into the air and quickly gives chase, whispering words of magic and tossing a spell to stop the weapons. "Hecate, please, aid your servant in her hour of need," Diana whispers as she throws the spells. Two of the missiles are grabbed and turned away from the city, but the third missile manages to continue forward. It grows closer to striking one of the buildings, but suddenly, Pegasus is there, opening his bony jaws and breathing a burst of hellfire that destroys the weapon. "Thank you, Pegasus," Diana whispers. She glances up to see the fighter planes turning around for another pass. "Can't be having any more of that," she says to herself. Shortly, the fighter pilot glances up from his instruments. His eyes widen as he sees the female warrior flying alongside him. "Hi, so I need you to not do that again, all right?" Diana requests. He stares at her for a moment, dumbfounded, but finally nods. Yes, ma'am," the pilot says with a nod. Diana nods back and flies off. Finally, she is floating over the mighty Tetracide, which is already slowly healing, pulling and knitting its bisected body back together. Diana stares at it. She has only been buying time up to this point, but now she needs to end this fight. She reaches down to her belt and begins to unravel her glowing lasso. Her mind fills with memories as she thinks back to her time on the Wild Isle in Hell. Cersei had handed her daughter the lasso as they sat around the fire. "It's a last resort, Diana, but you will need that more than once where you're headed," Cersei had warned. Diana smiles sadly at her mother and sighs. "Would it trouble us so to talk about some of my future in a positive light, Mother?" Diana asks. Cersei looks up at her daughter and nods. "Diana, I'm very sorry if I've given you the impression your future is negative, because it's not. It's glorious, filled with beauty and horror, danger and opportunity, which is why you will need this," Cersei says. She wraps the lasso around Diana's hand, explaining that it will hold anything and that it has the power to transform anything. "I have named her Thesia. It means sacrifice," Cersei tells her. Diana stares down at the glowing lasso in her hands and nods. Her quest has begun, and she leaves Cersei by the fire. A short time later, Diana returns. Her body is cut and torn, blood seeping from several small wounds. "You didn't have to wait up," Diana gasps as she collapses by the fire. "Speak plainly, Diana," Cersei whispers as she looks up to her daughter. Diana looks up, memories of her battle with the Harpy filling her mind. They fought into a cave, with Diana losing her battle axe. She had no choice but to use the lasso to strangle the monster, watching as the light faded from her eyes. "I found it a bit cruel," Diana finally whispers. Cersei stares at her for a moment, anger flashing in her eyes as she stands. Diana, not everything you meet will decide to be your best friend. Many will try to kill you even before shoving away your hand of friendship. Theseia is made exactly for that, Cersei says before turning away and walking back to their home. Diana sighs as she watches her mother leave. She tends the fire, slowly putting it out. She either cannot see the cruelty in it, or she does not care, Diana whispers. But suddenly, there is a light within the smoke as the fire goes out. Diana looks up as her goddess Hecate floats before her. "You're right," Hecate tells her. Hecate leans down to her chosen warrior, explaining that Cersei made her daughter a cruel weapon, but would only do so because she knows that Diana would need it. Diana bows her head. "This weapon, perhaps we do not see things the same way," Diana says softly. But Hecate shakes her head. "This lasso is your mother, girl. She made it with love and pain, fire and blood. It's a lasso of transmogrification, because transformation is what she knows best. And for you, she demands only the best," Hecate whispers before disappearing in the smoke as it dissipates. Shortly, Diana returns to her cave and finds her mother, asking for her forgiveness. "There's nothing to forgive," Cersei says softly, not looking up from her tea. But Diana kneels before her mother. "Theseia is not a weapon I would have made for myself, but I see that is a good thing. As for myself, my vision is narrow. I will always benefit from my mother's eyes. I was wrong to doubt you," Diana whispered. Now, she floats over the Tetracide, staring at the monster as it continues to heal. She lowers to the beach and looks down at the lasso in her hands, looking at Theseia that her mother had created, and a plan begins to form in her mind. Of course, it was in front of me all the time. I am become her, she who is both terrible and tragic, cursing and cursed, forever entwined in injustice, a living hell. This mantle must I accept today, for a far greater good, in hope and faith that I will once again someday become Diana of the Wild Isle, Diana, last of the Amazons, Diana, daughter of Cersei. Mother, please do not forget me. For now," Diana whispers as she begins to wrap the lasso around her arm, remembering her mother's words, her teachings. Diana's body begins to transform, growing in size as her skin becomes thick and scaly. "Now, I am doomed. I am Medusa, and none that see my face shall live," she roars as she raises up as the half-snake creature, her hair twisting and hissing. Back at the magic shop, Steve, Minerva, and the sisters watch the transformation on the news. "What happened to her?" Steve whispers in horror. "She's Medusa," Dr. Minerva says as she explains the story of Medusa to the three. Back on the beach, Medusa slides forward, hissing as the Tetracide roars at her. She stares at it, and the Tetracide stares back with its many small eyes. Those eyes regard Medusa, and the curse suddenly takes effect. The Tetracide stops moving, its body transforming into stone, stopping forever. But Medusa isn't done. She turns back towards the city, sliding forward, searching for more prey. "It's dead. Why is she still Medusa?" Minerva asks as she watches her laptop. "Maybe it's not that simple? If you become something else, how do you remember what you were?" Edda asks. Steve ponders this for a moment before nodding. He tears the sleeve from his shirt, making a blindfold. "Your friends remind you," he says as he heads for the door, not allowing the sisters to stop him. Meanwhile, Medusa is moving through the streets, her tail lashing out and smashing buildings as she slides forward. But a voice calls out to her. "Diana?" Steve says, moving forward, his eyes covered. "Diana, I know you can hear me, and I know you understand that this is not who you are. You must remember, you are Diana, Witch of the Wild Isle, daughter of Cersei, the last of the Amazons, Wonder Woman, hero of Gateway City," Steve calls. Medusa holds her hands to her ears as the scales begin to fall away. The snake body begins to shrink, and once again, Diana stands before him. "One good man can save the world, Steve. Thank you," Diana whispers to him. But the battle isn't complete just yet. Thanking Steve once more, Diana flies back to the beach and punches the now stoned Tetracide hard enough to crack the stone and shatter it, making sure the beast is destroyed. She returns to the beach to find her new friends waiting for her. "What now?" they all ask. But Diana smiles at them. "Oh, there's so much to be done. I'm not going anywhere," she begins to explain. But suddenly, a hole opens up in the sand behind them, and a massive glowing hand reaches up, grabbing Diana and pulling her into the hole, leaving her friends stunned on the beach and staring after her. "What the f***?" Etta finally shouts after a long pause. And thus concludes The Last Amazon, the first arc in Kelly Thompson's Absolute Wonder Woman. Diana was able to defeat the Tetracide by using her lasso to become Medusa, but a mysterious hand seems to have taken our Amazon back to the depths of hell. But let me know your thoughts on today's video and this first arc of Absolute Wonder Woman, and subscribe to the channel to get notified when more Absolute DC videos come out. I'm Dan with Comicstorian, and we will see you next time. Rest in peace, Benny.